second. You remember that there was first positivism. This was Auguste Comte, and there's second positivism, and we have also there on when we spoke about first positivism, we had three names: Comte, Mill, Spencer. Now we also have positivism. Now we also have three names. This is Ernst Mach, a German physicist, Austrian, better say, physicist. I told you about cone of Mach and so on. Then Henri Poincaré. Henri Poincaré, a French physicist and mathematician, and Pierre Duhem, French physicist and historian of science and philosopher of science. So these three are representatives of so-called second positivism. So second, I spoke with you about the great polemics between Mach and Boltzmann. Well, and you told me that you know in main features who is Boltzmann. Boltzmann. Yes.
Carolina, me decís que
Yes, because you have, yes, Jeffrey, you have Boltzmann constant. It usually is signed as K, Boltzmann constant. If you study general physics, so you should know Boltzmann constant. If you multiply Boltzmann constant on absolute temperature, you will have energy. It's okay? Have you seen this formula? Okay, so this is Boltzmann constant. So it has it's measured in joule divided by degree, okay, degree of in kelvins, temperature degree in Kelvin. Okay, so what was the polemic about? Mach said that Boltzmann was not right in asserting that atoms objectively exist. But Boltzmann replied to Mach that you, while teaching physics, you seem to recognize that other people exist. For example, I recognize that you exist. Anshit exists, Javad exists, and Lilon exists objectively. But I cannot prove it because you are only in my sensations. So there can be no strict proof of your objective existence. So it also can be called metaphysical. So, well, Mach said Boltzmann doesn't understand my philosophy. What I mean, I don't mean that objective world does not exist. I only say that when we study the objective world, we should not make metaphysical assumptions. And Mach was wrong with negating atoms, because later Rutherford proved by his experiment that atoms exist. Now I pose the question, why didn't Mach react? Mach died in 1916. So experiments of Rutherford were published in 1911. So after 1911, there were no there were no more grounds to doubt the existence of atom as for me to doubt the existence of my students. Okay, so this was evident, sort of. You see, it was already a consensus. Rutherford, you remember Rutherford, as famous English physicist, originally from New Zealand. He studied in Christchurch University and then moved to England to Cambridge University. So Rutherford, okay, Ernst Rutherford, Ernst Mach also. So they bear the same name. Only Ernst in German it's without e. You see, there's difference between Ernst and Ernest. This is just the same, but um, well, but I'm sure maybe Rutherford is also Ernst. Just we'll see. Um, just a moment. Well, Rutherford is Ernest, okay? So this is solved. Okay, so Rutherford is Ernest, Mach is Ernst, okay? So the difference is in one letter, okay? But the name is the same, of course. Now, but I've told you that in 1898, Mach had a stroke. So you understand, Mach had a stroke. And after that stroke, his mental health and his general health speedily deteriorated, and he lost uh, interest to science, to giving lectures, and soon retired after this stroke. You understand? So this is medical reasons why he didn't react to the experiment of Rutherford and planetary model of atom. Another maybe reason for his losing interest in life in general was the suicide of his son, Heinrich, in 1984. So Mach had three sons, and his elder son, who was at that time 20 years old, committed suicide after defending his diploma. So was Mach thought that perhaps he would inherit him as a physicist, but he committed suicide. It was a heavy blow for Ernst Mach. So after that, he had these polemics with Boltzmann. And perhaps because Mach was suffering much mentally because of the suicide of his son, so he maybe was too harsh in these polemics, okay? So the polemics took place between these two dates, 1894, the suicide of Mach's son, and 1898, the stroke which Mach underwent. Then Boltzmann inherited the chair of philosophy in Vienna University, and in 1906 committed suicide. So that's how it all ended, okay? This great discussion. I think both of them were very talented physicists, and we cannot say that Mach was all wrong. He was right in doubting the existence of ether. You remember ether, the privileged system of reference in which, or the medium environment in which the optical waves propagate, okay? So he said that ether perhaps doesn't exist. And Einstein proved that that Mach was right. So Mach influenced Einstein in this respect, okay? So this is also the contribution of Ernst Mach to, say, physics, and second positivism. Also, second positivism influenced on Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics. You remember that in quantum mechanics there's uncertainty relation. Uncertainty relation. Yes? Uncertainty relation, term was coined by Werner Heisenberg, one of the fathers of quantum mechanics. So, what does it mean? It means that we cannot speak about trajectory, or we cannot know in a given moment the coordinate and the momentum of any body. Uh, Okay, so well, if it is well, we cannot know with certainty, but this certainty amounts to Planck's constant, which is very small, which is 10 in minus 37 degree. Okay, so it is very small. 6 multiplied by 10 in minus 37 degree. Okay, so it is very small. So when we speak about, say, wagons or cars or, say, satellites, then we can, of course, ignore this uncertainty relation. Yes, I'm right, Angels here. So this uncertainty relation becomes sort of important when we deal with very small objects. For example, electron in the atom of hydrogen. So when we take the momentum of electron, we will find or angular momentum of the electron in hydrogen. We will see that it is around 1h, or well, h is the Planck's constant. You see, so it's can be 1h, 2h, 3h. This is Bohr's postulates. But Bohr and Heisenberg, they said that we cannot say that electron moves along a certain trajectory, because we cannot speak about that we know momentum and coordinate of electron in a given moment. For electron, this is valid and this is important. For, say, car or satellite or, say, some rocket, it is not important. So now, the people said, and say, for example, Einstein objected, well, this trajectory exists, but we cannot measure it properly. You understand? We cannot measure it, but it objectively it exists, this trajectory. Only we don't know where the electron is in given moment and what momentum it has. But Heisenberg said, how it is possible to speak about things that we cannot measure? So if we cannot measure, there's useless to think about, to speak about everything. So we have to define the measurement procedure. So how we measure. But for example, I see Angel Sierra in Zoom. So I have a procedure. I enter Zoom, I see his photo, I then compare his photo with a document, and I will say this is Angel Sierra, okay? So I have a procedure to measure something. Yes, I can interrogate also. You remember Turing tests, whether you are speaking with a computer or with a real person, okay? So it's also a procedure. So and sometimes we cannot be certain. If we play chess, for example, in Turing test, we cannot say whether it's a very good player or whether it is a computer. So you understand? Well, if we translate, I can guess that this is a Google translation, not a translation made by man, because sometimes they make very curious mistakes. Well, this is all about measurement. So we have to define how we will measure and how we'll get this information about objective reality, which is, as Kant, you remember, Kant called it noumen, or things in themselves. So these things in themselves, they become known to us only by phenomena. So by measurement or just senses. Okay, so this is all that we can say. So if we cannot measure this momentum and coordinate precisely, then we cannot speak about objective character of this trajectory. Well, this is all the contribution of this second positivism. So you see, in one case it was negative, namely with Boltzmann, because kinetic theory of Boltzmann is valid and atoms objectively exist. But in two cases, the ether and uncertainty relation, these Mach's ideas proved to be very fruitful. So we can say in general that second positivism is fruitful. And last, I told you that Lenin criticized second positivism. Why? Because Lenin wanted to say some objective, as he said, truth. For him, objective truth was that there does not exist in world nothing except matter. So no spirits, no souls, no God. You understand? This was very important because if God exists, then perhaps all Marxism is wrong. You understand? You see, the well, it's also was say underlined by Michael Bakunin, the father of anarchism. He said we should start with atheism and then lead people to socialism and to revolution. Okay, so we should, because if people believe in God, they will be poor revolutionaries. Okay, so for Lenin, it was very important to objectively prove that there is nothing except matter in this world. Otherwise, he wouldn't speak with certainty to the masses. If he said, well, perhaps we don't know, this is metaphysical question, whether God exists or whether it doesn't exist. We have no measurement procedure to see whether God exists or doesn't exist, because we cannot measure God. So we should better say that we don't know or be agnostics, you understand? But Lenin said, no, I cannot speak with simple people, with workers, with peasants, with soldiers, saying that, well, we are all agnostics. Then we'll say, if you don't know, then why are you speaking with us? Go home and sit in your laboratory or in your library and don't speak with us. If you are speaking with us, you should pronounce absolute truth. Then we'll believe you and we'll follow you. So for Lenin, it was very important that he's on the side of the absolute truth, metaphysical truth. Well, the same as Thomas Aquinas, who said that God objectively exists only for even for unbelievers. So if you don't believe in God, the worse for you. You will see him at the last judgment, okay? You understand the idea. Well, for Indians, perhaps it is a little bit curious, but for Muslims and Christians, I think it is okay. Yes, Berkane, you are Muslim or not?
Me?
Yes.
Yes, I'm Muslim. Da.
Yes. So God objectively exists, and even if a person is an atheist, God will judge him nevertheless, objectively. You understand? For believers, God objectively exists. Even if you don't believe in him, he still is there somewhere, and he will judge you, okay? So that's why you can sort of speak with force about your religion. The same with Lenin, only vice versa. Lenin was an atheist, and he said, we'll just erase all your mosques, and we will shot all your mullahs because you are spreading nonsense. And we'll make out of your children atheists. We will lead them to atheistic school, and they will receive atheistic education. Okay? And that's what he did in, say, Central Asia, where there were many Muslims, in Bukhara, in Samarkand, everywhere, in Kazakhstan, in Uzbekistan. They just shot down all the leaders and created schools where they taught children that no God exists, okay? So this, well, they couldn't erase, of course, to the ground all the religions. So now it is sort of revived there. But that was the attempt. in order to make this attempt to kill people, you should be deadly serious and have absolute conviction that you are on the side of objective truth. Okay, that's why Lenin was against this second positivism, because second positivism said we don't know really, because what does it mean to know? To know means to have evidence. How can we have evidence that God does not exist? We cannot have this evidence. Where we should take it from? If you are a scientist, then if you want, you can just show us what is your procedure. How will you prove it? What will be your ways, okay, of doing it? And you know that, for example, Werner Heisenberg was a Christian, was a believer. So one of the sort of creators of quantum mechanics. Well, Mach was an atheist. Well, it's his choice. Pierre Duguay was a Catholic. Okay, so it depends. You see, so believer or unbeliever, it's your choice. But your science cannot lead you either to belief or unbelief. This is second positivism. And Lenin was not a good. He said it is bourgeois ideology. This is bourgeoisie. They are sort of hired these professors and they behaved like prostitutes. Okay, you understand? This is the expression of Lenin, not mine. Okay, but if you read Lenin attentively, he will write that this bourgeois science is behaves like prostitutes. They are paid by bourgeoisie, so they say what bourgeoisie wants. Bourgeoisie wants to sort of preserve religion or idealism, so they will speak what they are asked for. Okay, Lenin was very harsh, you understand. He didn't he used very sort of blunt language, okay, even rude language, okay. Thus, this is the last thing. Perhaps it's not so important, but Lenin is known, prominent, and perhaps even I think he's well accepted as a prominent figure, say in China or in Latin America. Maybe Angel Sierra will confirm. Sometimes people even call their children by Lenin. Oh, okay. Lenin or Lenina, girl's name, okay. Angel Sierra, you're from Mexico, no?
Yes, from Mexico.
You know that Lenin is immensely popular in Mexico.
Yes, yes.
Yes, so also in China, maybe also in Russia, so there are some students who are, they say, we are Leninists. We like Lenin. Don't criticize Lenin in your lectures. So I have to be very sort of, how to say, reserved or discreet there. But now I can afford to speak bluntly also that Lenin just, it's not my, you know, that I'm just reserving my opinion about Lenin. I only want to say that Lenin was absolutely sure that his theory, his Marxism, his materialism was objectively true. So it is objectively true. It is the way it is. For example, God is an illusion. This is objectively so. There's no God, no God. Never, not neither in this world nor in the other world, and no other world exists. There's no soul, only matter which is in perpetual motion. This is objectively so, and and if it is objectively so, then we have to reshape all the world according to this objective reality. So if somewhere people adore non-existent entities, so we should just wipe them out, okay? Because they are doing nonsense, okay? We cannot afford them to keep these churches, these mosques, the synagogues, because they are doing nonsense, okay? This is the position of Lenin. He was radical here. And to be radical, he had to believe in objective reality. And this is why he hated Mach, Duhem, Poincaré, and all these representatives of second positivism. Okay, this is enough about the second lecture. Now we have to proceed further, there is a so-called logical positivism. So it is a new material, logical positivism. What is that? It is connected with the name of Austrian physicist, a Jew by nationality, uh, Ludwig Wittgenstein. Maybe you've heard this name. He's immensely popular among intelligentsia. Maybe Angel Sierra knows him, no?
Yes.
Wittgenstein. Because he spoke on many subjects, on art, for example, on language, on logic. Well, people remember his saying that if you on questions which are metaphysical in character, like good and evil, right and wrong, if you cannot pronounce anything sensible, you should better keep silence. Otherwise, your sort of your ideas or your sentences or your judgments will be senseless. For example, Angel Sierra is a good student. This is senseless because we cannot sort of define what is good, what is a good student. But we can say Angel Sierra is present here and he is taking part in this Zoom conference. This is sensible because this can be proved. This is a fact and even a picture we can have, okay? I can just make a picture and it will be like a proof that you are the same with the Berkane and Rilon, and there are 11 participants and me as a lecturer, okay? So, well, so we can speak about facts. We can speak about relations between facts. For example, if Angel Sierra is present here and he's a Mexican, then I can infer, how to say, I can judge that one Mexican, at least one Mexican is present, okay? So this will be logical, okay? So, well, it is trivial, of course. Logic is trivial. Logic is part of trivium in the medieval universities. So there's nothing extraordinary here. Extraordinary is the, like, well, that we sort of deny senseless judgments. So we say that some judgments are senseless, some propositions are senseless. And we say that they are not to be allowed, these senseless propositions. Well, now a few words about Ludwig Wittgenstein and this treatise of his where all this is written. This treatise is Wittgenstein gave it under the suggestion of a certain English philosopher More. He gave to this treatise Latin name, Tractatus Logica Philosophicus. Well, I don't know why he chose this Latin name, maybe after Spinoza, because Spinoza wrote Tractatus Theologo Politicus. But you see, Spinoza was writing it in the 17th century when every people spoke Latin. But now it seems that it was like something, well, snobbish maybe even, okay? Snobbish, oh? Yes? How do you say? Snobbish or snobbish? Okay, when you speak Latin in the 21st century. Angel Sierra, can you say, well, this is a little bit snobbish?
Snobbish. Yeah.
Yes, to speak Latin in the 21st century.
Indeed.
It is snobbish, but here we are. So maybe Wittgenstein was a little bit snobbish, or maybe he was just like a little bit crazy. Who knows? Because he behaved in a strange way. I will just tell you a few facts from his biography. Logico-philosophical. Philosophicus. Ficus. Ficus. Tractatus Logica Philosophicus, or Logical Philosophical Treatise. This was published in 1921, but it was written in German, but very soon appeared in English translation. One of those men who published it and was eager to publish it was German chemist Wilhelm Ostwald. Well, why I ask you to memorize this name, Wilhelm, because it is a connection with the previous lecture on second positivism, Wilhelm Ostwald. Because Wilhelm Ostwald was also a representative of second positivism and also criticized by Lenin. So Lenin criticized not only Mach, but also Ostwald, okay? Because Ostwald was an energetist. So he said that matter is ultimately just like pieces of energy, okay? You understand? Well, not pieces, but we can say just like, well, I will seek for this word. Clot. This is clot. Do you know this word, clot? Clot of blood. Okay, if again, or blob also. Blood clot. He has a blood clot on his brain. That's what I found in. That's what I found in on the internet. In his brain, you see, clot, blood clot. Okay, you understand? So, well, there's like, well, so now with Ostwald, there are no matter or no atoms, but they are clots of energy. Okay, or energy clots. Well, you can also see Ostwald in Wikipedia, and you will find this energetism. Okay, this is a, well, it's also he was also a representative of this second positivism and also was criticized by Lenin. But now it is important that Wilhelm Ostwald insisted on publishing this logical philosophical treatise of Wittgenstein in a prestigious German periodical, of which he was himself an editor. And the introduction was written by another important figure, Bertrand Russell. So now, after 5 minutes, I will tell you the more details about how Wittgenstein became acquainted with Bertrand Russell, what happened during the First World War, how Ludwig Wittgenstein became a prisoner of war because he fought for Austrians on the Italian front, was taken prisoner and kept in Italian camp for prisoners of war. But the regime was not harsh, so Wittgenstein was allowed to have a pen and a copybook, and he wrote, while in detention, he wrote this treatise. So when he was released after the war in 1919, he was released, and he had already the manuscript. So 2 years followed, and it was published. Okay, so now we have 4 minutes. So then we will resume. There will be another part. Yes, Anshita, there will be the second part. Yes.
Yes.
So now we have time for questions. What is lacking? What do you not understand here in second positivism or with Wittgenstein? So what remains obscure? Have you heard, Anshita, this name, Wittgenstein, before?
No, no.
Yes, so you have to start from the very beginning. This is
Because
uh,
all of this
yes.
information are new to me.
Yes, so Angel Sierra seems to have some vague idea, or maybe not so vague, about Wittgenstein. Yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So he is popular in Mexico.
Not really, but in the when I was in the bachelor, I have to read some of his ideas, so I am familiar with his tractatus.
I see. So it is, by the way, my mother has a cousin. My mother has a cousin, and a husband of my mother's cousin now teaches physics in Mexico University in Mexico. His name is Ilya Kaplan. He is teaching condensed matter physics or Pauli principle. Ilya Kaplan. Okay, so maybe you have heard about him. He's teaching in Mexico University, physics department. You didn't hear about him, yes?
No. I
Okay.
really don't. I know a few people from the
Yes, you can
University of
ask.
Mexico.
He is now 86 years old, so quite old man. He's Jewish from Russia. He went to Mexico in 1990. Okay. Well, that's just to show you that the world is very small. Okay. Now, so I will presume that you don't know anything about Wittgenstein. So I will, after this break, I will speak from the very beginning. Okay. So if you know some information, please excuse me. So repetition is the mother of studies. Okay. They say repetitio mater studiorum in Latin. If I want to be snobbish, I will say it in Latin. So repetition is a mother of studies. Okay. So if I repeat something that you already know, or you can easily, of course, get this information from the internet. So for me, it's just to regulate these like flows of information, so that to select important information from not important. Okay, just to structure it. Okay, so this is my the information you, of course, you can get yourself. My idea is to underline that Wittgenstein is important. Wittgenstein is a representative of logical positivism, and question 9 deals with the logical positivism, I think. Okay. Well, okay. So now we'll continue. Yes. The same link. Yes, Anshita. Okay.
Yes, the link will be the same.